Absolutely. Well, thank you, Councilor King, for the opportunity to come speak with you this evening. You know, as the mayor mentioned, had I known about the last meeting, I certainly would have been here, so I apologize for that. When I first started with the city short time ago, one of the first things I did was I met with the mayor and set some really short-term goals for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. And one of them is to, since I'm just an office of one, to find funding and other support services through either private or state grants. The city of Framingham, we applied for a grant through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Healy and Driscoll administration for a community compact grant to conduct an equity audit. An equity audit is very common in fields K through 12 education as well as higher education. In fact, Framingham Public Schools recently went through an equity audit process in 2020. What is an equity audit? An equity audit is a study of the fairness in institutional policies, programs, and practices. And now we're seeing more and more municipalities bring in diversity, equity, and inclusion officers, and now more and more municipalities are starting to conduct their own equity audits. Cities like Lowell, Newton, Cambridge, Arlington, Worcester, Brookline, Lexington have either all gone through or are currently going through their own equity audit process. What typically takes place in an equity audit is we as the city or the municipality would set the scope of services or set parameters and guidelines on what and what not we would want a outside agency to do for this audit. We are looking for a formal review of our internal personnel policies, procedures, and hopefully also conducting a employee survey, employee satisfaction survey. We want to look at things like our discrimination complaint policy and procedure. What are we doing for recruiting and job postings? Do we have fair and equitable harassment and discrimination process? And one of the things we're also hopefully looking at is probably developing a civility statement. Another thing that we're hoping that the equity audit could do is what are we doing for training around diversity, equity, and inclusion for our employees? And as I mentioned, maybe incorporating an employee engagement survey or employee satisfaction survey. Another thing that an equity audit might look at is, what is the representation of women, people of color, and LGBTQIA plus staff, individuals with disabilities, and veterans? What is the general makeup of our employees here in the city of Framingham, and are we missing the ball somewhere? What is the leadership structure? What is the pay and compensation? Is it equitable across all groups? What does the data look like for our municipality? And what can possibly be our process for recruitment and outreach? So again, we're looking for the equity audit to produce findings, submit those findings to us, and also provide us with recommendations on next steps to make our municipality and our city government more equitable. Typically what happens, we would put out a bid for firms to apply, and I would work with our newly established Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee to look over applications and pick the best firm to come in and do that service for us. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the equity audit would produce. I'm looking forward to the possibility of having one. I don't think the city has ever had one in the past. So this would be a next step for us to start to develop our strategic plan around diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Is there any questions?